Imagine a chessboard, two players locked in a strategic battle, each move a carefully crafted decision. This is the Israel-Iran conflict, a geopolitical conundrum that continues to shape the Middle East landscape. This complex game began in the late 1970s, with the pivotal year of 1979, when the Iranian Revolution ushered in a new era of religious and political fervor. This seismic shift saw the establishment of an Islamic Republic in Iran and marked the onset of a deep-rooted ideological divide between Israel and the newly transformed Iran. As Iran embraced its new identity, Israel watched with apprehension. The Jewish state had long been a beacon of democracy in the region, and the rise of an Islamic Republic in Iran raised concerns about the balance of power in the Middle East. The ideological differences between the two nations soon spiraled into a full-blown conflict, with each viewing the other as a significant threat to their existence. Fast forward to the present day, and the chessboard has become even more convoluted. The tension between Iran and the United States over the 2015 nuclear deal adds another layer of complexity to the Israel-Iran conflict. The nuclear deal, aimed at curbing Iran's alleged pursuit of nuclear weapons, was a significant point of contention. The indirect talks in Doha, facilitated by the European Union, ended without progress, heightening the tension and raising the potential for escalation. Iran's progress towards nuclear capabilities and reduced cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog have further stoked Israel's security concerns. The lack of progress in these talks may lead to a prolonged diplomatic stalemate, exacerbating the tensions between the two nations. This is more than just a game of chess. It's a battle of ideologies, a struggle for regional dominance, and a test of diplomatic finesse. As the players continue to move their pieces, the world watches, waiting for the next move, anticipating the next turn in this ongoing conflict. This was the beginning, a conflict born out of ideological differences and fears, a game of chess where the stakes are high. Every conflict has its milestones, its turning points that shape the narrative. Let us take a journey through the timeline of the Israel-Iran conflict. Our story begins in the late 20th century, with the pivotal 1979 Iranian Revolution. This momentous event saw the overthrow of the Pahlavi dynasty and the establishment of an Islamic Republic. The revolution, driven by a broad coalition of groups, not only transformed Iran's political landscape but also set the stage for a shift in the country's foreign policy. Iran's new leadership viewed Israel, a close ally of the United States, with deep suspicion, leading to a severance of diplomatic ties and the beginning of an era marked by hostility and tension. The narrative takes a violent turn in the early 80s with the Lebanon War. Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982 was a significant event in the region's history, not least because of Iran's involvement. Iran, in its quest to export its revolutionary ideology, found a willing ally in the Lebanese group Hezbollah, providing it with financial and military support. This war set a precedent for Iran's proxy warfare strategy in its conflict with Israel. Fast forward to the dawn of the 21st century, and we're confronted with a series of mysterious assassinations. Between 2010 and 2012, 4 Iranian nuclear scientists were killed in what Iran claimed were attacks orchestrated by Israel. These assassinations, along with the discovery of the Stuxnet cyber attack in 2010, marked a significant escalation in the conflict. The Stuxnet worm, widely believed to be a joint US-Israeli operation, targeted Iran's nuclear facilities, causing substantial damage and bringing cyber warfare to the forefront of the conflict. In the years that followed, the tension between the two nations remained high, periodically punctuated by incidents that threatened to tip the balance towards full-blown war. Yet, in the midst of this, there were attempts at diplomacy. In 2015, Iran signed a nuclear deal with the P5+1 group of world powers, agreeing to limit its nuclear program in return for relief from economic sanctions. Though Israel vehemently opposed the deal, it did represent a brief, albeit fragile, respite in the ongoing conflict. Most recently, the indirect talks between the United States and Iran in Doha, Qatar, in the summer of 2022, marked another significant milestone. These talks, facilitated by the EU, aimed to restore the 2015 nuclear deal, but ended without progress, raising tensions and the potential for escalation. Iran's progress towards nuclear capabilities and reduced cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog heightened concerns of military intervention. Each event, a move on the chessboard, shaping the narrative of this ongoing conflict. The ripple effects of the Israel-Iran conflict are far-reaching, impacting not just the Middle East, but the global landscape. This conflict, like a stone thrown into a pond, sends waves of influence across the world, altering economies and political landscapes in its wake. One of the most significant areas affected by this conflict is the global economy, particularly the oil market. Oil is the lifeblood of many economies, driving industries and keeping the wheels of commerce turning. When the oil market is disrupted, the repercussions are felt worldwide, from the boardrooms of multinational corporations to the kitchens of everyday families. According to the EY chief economist, the Israel-Iran conflict could potentially send oil prices skyrocketing. Imagine for a moment oil prices reaching as high as $150 a barrel. This could lead to a global recession, a significant drop in global real GDP growth, and a staggering $2 trillion loss in the world economy. This is not a mere possibility, it's a stark reality we could face if the conflict escalates. Market volatility could also spike, making the economic landscape uncertain and challenging. Financial conditions may tighten, with stocks potentially falling by 20% and the US dollar strengthening by 10%. Such market volatility can create an environment of fear and uncertainty, hindering investments and slowing economic growth. But the impact of the Israel-Iran conflict is not limited to the economy. It also has significant political implications. The lack of progress in talks between the United States and Iran could lead to a prolonged diplomatic stalemate. This could potentially influence the upcoming US midterm elections and Iran's presidential election in 2025. The conflict and the world's response to it could shape the political landscape in both countries, influencing not just the present, but the future as well. In conclusion, the Israel-Iran conflict is a complex issue with far-reaching impacts. It's not just about two nations in the Middle East. It's about global economics, oil markets, political landscapes, and the future of our world. The Israel-Iran conflict is not just a regional issue. It is a global concern. In the game of chess, the outcome is uncertain until the final move. So, what might the future hold for the Israel-Iran conflict? As we step into the uncharted territory of tomorrow, the possibilities are as vast as they are unpredictable. The Israel-Iran conflict, like a game of chess, is filled with potential moves and counter-moves, each with their own set of outcomes. One scenario on this grand chessboard could be an escalation. If indirect talks between the United States and Iran continue to end without progress, tensions could rise, possibly leading to a more pronounced conflict. This would have far-reaching implications, not only for Israel and Iran, but for the entire globe. The spectre of increased oil prices, a potential global recession, and the loss of trillions from the world economy loom large in this scenario. However, we must also consider the potential for resolution. The regional context has shifted since the nuclear deal of 2015, with Gulf countries recognizing the value of de-escalation through a new agreement. This suggests that peace, though a difficult road to tread, is not an unreachable destination. The role of the international community in these potential futures cannot be overstated. Global powers and organizations have the ability to influence the trajectory of this conflict. Their actions or inactions could tip the scales towards escalation or resolution. The importance of diplomacy in this context is paramount. It has the potential to bridge gaps, foster understanding, and ultimately prevent further loss and suffering. It's a tool that, when wielded effectively, could bring about a future where the safety and security of people on both sides of the conflict are prioritized. In this game of geopolitical chess, the stakes are high. Each move, each decision, holds the potential to change the course of the conflict. But let's remember, the game is not just about the kings and queens, the rooks and pawns. It's about the people whose lives are affected by each move on the board. In the end, it is not just about winning the game, but ensuring the safety and security of people on both sides of the conflict. Like a game of chess, the Israel-Iran conflict is complex and multifaceted. We've traversed the labyrinth of its origins and timeline, understanding the nuanced geopolitical dynamics that set the stage for this simmering tension. The roots of this conflict are deep, fed by historical grievances, political ideologies, and a potent mix of national pride and fear. We've examined the key events that have punctuated this ongoing discord, from the stalled indirect talks in Doha to the escalating military actions and their repercussions. Each move and countermove, like a chess match, has been calculated, yet the outcomes are far from predictable. The impact of this conflict has been felt far beyond the borders of Israel and Iran. We've seen how the ripples of this clash have stirred the global economy, affecting oil prices, threatening to ignite inflation and even potentially tipping the scales towards a global recession. The world watches breath-held as the spectre of escalating conflict hangs like a sword of Damocles over the global market. Looking ahead, we've pondered the potential future scenarios. The path is uncertain, with the spectre of escalating military action, the unresolved nuclear deal, and the potential for a diplomatic stalemate. The chessboard is set, the pieces are moving, but the endgame remains obscured. The Israel-Iran conflict, a game of chess with real-world consequences, continues to unfold. As we watch the moves unfold, we must remember the stakes are more than just a checkmate. This is not a game confined to a board, but a real-world conflict with lives, economies, and the stability of our global community hanging in the balance.